As we continue to live during these times, I have found that some things I thought were understood are not completely really understood. Some things that need to be cemented in the minds of believers are very much not. As I made that video discussing about the Christian algorithm and the deceptions that are amongst us all, I have come to see that this understanding that I need to talk about is still not fully understood. I taught on it over a year and a half ago, and some points I made in it, I feel distracted from the whole message. Being that this message is extremely important, I decided that I must revisit it as well as some other topics that I've covered in the past. You see, this life of a believer, living in the truth, is not easy. We see the world for what it really is, and many of us are modern-day versions of Noah preparing for the ark the Most High is making for us, while trying to warn others about the flood that's coming. Only it won't be water, but fire. We warn, but people don't listen. Many write you off as crazy and they disrespect you. It is definitely hard to be a believer during these last days. But even with how hard it is for us now, we know that the reason we are warning others today to get right with Yah and to submit to Him is because the times that are coming are going to be even worse for those who are not right with Yahuwah and do not believe in Yahusha. I know that many people I see in this world are not going to be ready. It's very hard to watch. The people are completely mad and rebellious. And with all that said, you would think that the most rebellious people, the ones in sin, that they would be the hardest people to talk to. Well, obviously some of them are. But there's another group that is even harder to reach and deal with. And for some of us, it is the hardest thing to understand at first. I have tried many times to communicate the danger of labels. Because people can attach a label to something, and because that label is on it, it is now deemed to be safe. It's like the FDA approved stamp. People literally deem what's good for them to take and ingest in their body and what's not good for them just because of the FDA approval stamp. It's just a label that tells people it has passed this group of standards. But what if their standards are not in line with your own? It's just a label. And yes, even though it has a general consensus of acceptance by the majority, that still does not make it safe or okay for all. But that's just an example. The biggest example that we have today is the label of Christian. This label is thrown around everywhere, and when people use it, often it gives the majority of the world who say they believe in Messiah, gives them a general feeling that they can trust what is coming from this Christian source, or not trust for that matter. For instance, the amount of people that say that they're against me because I say I'm not a Christian, although I say I believe completely in every word of the Bible, every word of the scriptures, because I don't bear the label of Christian, I'm false. That's what people believe. As I've been discussing for some time now, Christians are not truly living according to the truth of the scriptures, but they're attached to religion that is only somewhat influenced by the scriptures, but also tied to many other different untruths and different influences as well. And those untruths are leading Christians to places that they don't think that they're going. But the truth is they're going nonetheless. And that's why I have tested Christianity and it has not passed the test. The amount of doctrines that Christianity subscribes to that is contrary to the scriptures is ridiculous and astounding. From the celebration of pagan holidays, to living in lawlessness, attaching themselves to the ways of this world, the pre-tribulation rapture, and now as we have clearly exposed the lie of the Trinity doctrine and the attachment of Greek philosophy with Christianity, with all of that exposed, we can see that there is a real dangerous difference in following the doctrines of Christianity. And you know what? It is not easy calling out this truth, because people look at this as being judgmental or speaking about what is in people's hearts and whatnot, like what they did in this last video. When you make this distinction, it can be quite controversial. Then you have to deal with others needing to find a label for you, so they say, oh, he's a Hebrew Israelite, or oh, he's a Judaizer, or a Pharisee, many different labels that they can use so they can reject what you're trying to really say. But I can tell you that I don't care about that controversy more than I care about there being voices that will say what needs to be said. And so this post right here, it might rub a few people the wrong way because you've been so attached to the labels and religion and you don't like the idea of standing alone and being set apart. I don't want to offend, but I do have something that needs to be said at this current point in time of history that we're in. If you want to be ready for Yah's kingdom, you need to come out of Christianity, aka churchianity, and be set apart and be holy. The Most High is not in these major Christian organizations. If your algorithm is sending it out to the masses, it's only because they want you distracted. The longer you attach to them, the more you attach yourselves to the tares that Yahusha, our Messiah, has prophesied he will pluck out, gather, and toss into the fire. Our faith is not a religion summed up by a label. It is a way of life summed up by faith and obedience. And so as we approach the times of change, you need to seek Yah's face personally outside of religious organizations and labels, and be called out and set apart to him through seeking him personally through his word and the indwelling of his spirit. Christianity is a major danger because the majority feel like they're safe in their faith, but they don't actually know our actual creator, but they know the many false doctrines in their religion. And the sad part is that the majority of them who are trying to enter into his kingdom through the broad gate, they're going to be rejected. They're going to be plucked out and tossed into the fire. I've gone over a great deal about this over the years, but I must refocus on this huge topic. There is a difference between those who are ready for Yah's kingdom and those in Christianity. And I want to take this time to explain a major sign that highlights the difference, and it needs to be clear. The big difference and sign is that the majority of the Christian church does not recognize, nor do they expect, that everything is a lie. And the fact that they don't recognize this shows where they are in Yah's prophesied plan. Those in Christianity live in the strong delusion. And besides the other factors that we spoke about, at the time they were at right now, you can use this point that I'm about to discuss to identify those who truly belong to Yah and those who do not. Listen, if you don't recognize that we are being lied to, you are in the strong delusion. And it's time for you to wake up before it's too late. I'm going to explain to you why. Let's begin. Okay, so I know what I just said in that intro can be a little hard to hear, and people don't like hearing about people speak in such absolutes. I get it. But let's be clear. There is no more time for sugarcoating. And so you will not get that here. I went over this in the last video about Philip Anthony Mitchell and Wes Huff. And as expected, there were many that what I was saying made them uncomfortable. You see, people are able to be misled because they don't truly understand the agendas against them. And so the mindsets are completely different between a true believer and one that is a part of this world in Christianity. You see, many people, they're able to be misled because they don't truly understand the agendas that are against them. I mean, people feel like getting to speak to Joe Rogan is something that is a great thing for a Christian, when a true believer should side-eye anyone that Joe Rogan is willing to talk to, because he is only a gatekeeper and an influencer that leads to the beast. You do not become a major influencer in this world without being tied to the beast agenda. This whole world is leading to the Antichrist. Do you think that they have individuals that are not a part of this goal? You're not thinking correctly. Everything in this world is about steering people to the beast. Everything in this world is about a satanic agenda. That's all this world is about. The God of this world desires to be worshiped, and he has people tied to him that are about spreading his light. That is what this world is about. This world is leading the masses one place, and most Christians, they just don't get it. But okay, enough of that. Let's go over what I'm talking about. In Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, it says, "So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." Revelation chapter 12, verse 9. So what did John tell us? He said that the serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, deceives the whole world. So let's just make sure that we place this as a foundational understanding, because this point is not a foundation of Christianity. The world that we are in is being lied to and deceived by Satan. I challenge you to have one of these mainstream pastors or biblical scholars explain this to you and show how this is manifested in this world that we live in. This is one main message you will rarely ever hear preached on pulpits on Sunday, but it's extremely important. This is important to know. The world we are in is being lied to and deceived by Satan. So look at it this way. Let's say you know a person, but you know that he's a known liar. Every time you talk with him, he's lying about something. Do you believe that it's smart for you to believe the things that he tells you? Well, if you say yes, or you have conditions, that makes you very naive and very easily to be taken advantage of. Rule number one for me in these situations is that I don't believe a thing out of a liar's mouth, even if they occasionally tell the truth. Rule number two is I don't get down and associate with liars in the first place. But what I'm saying is that You don't ever listen to what a liar is telling you. So take it a step further. We know Satan deceives the whole world. Yeah, we got that. Let's add more verses to it. In John chapter 8, Yahusha said to them, "If Elohim were your father, you would love me, for I proceeded forth and came from Elohim. Nor have I come of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you are not able to listen to my word. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it." That's John chapter 8, verses 42 through 44. So, what is he saying? The devil does not stand in truth, and when he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources because he is the father of lies. Let's add more. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3 and 4, Paul says, "But even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing, whose minds the God of this world has blinded, who do not believe, lest the light of the gospel of the glory of Messiah, who is the image of Elohim, should shine on them." That's 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3 and 4. Those who are perishing do so because their minds are blinded by the God of this world. Satan is the God of this world, blinding the minds of those who are perishing. Let's add some more. "For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Messiah. And no wonder, for Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also transform themselves into ministers of righteousness, whose end will be according to their works." 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 13 through 15. Satan transforms himself into an angel of light, and his ministers transform themselves into ministers of righteousness, even though they are false apostles and deceitful workers. It's all right there. Do you see that though? His ministers transform themselves into apostles of Messiah. So that means that in this world, Satan has ministers who preach and teach about Messiah, but they are actually ministers of Satan. So that does not only mean that we need to look out for the obvious devil worshippers who are against Yahusha, but also there is an infiltration by Satan to bring about ministers who have transformed themselves into apostles of Christ, but actually are ministers of Satan. And here's the last one. "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour." 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. So our adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he can devour. So if you're not vigilant and sound-minded, he very likely can devour you. So these are foundational understandings any believer that is living for Yah's kingdom must have, because we do not live in this world without an enemy. And this is not from my own opinion either, as you can clearly see. These are all points about the enemy given to us through Scripture. Let's review this list one more time. Satan deceives the whole world. He does not stand in truth, and when he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources because he is the father of lies. Satan is the God of this world, blinding the minds of those who are perishing. He transforms himself into an angel of light, and he has ministers who preach and teach about Messiah, but they are actually ministers for his deceptions. And the devil is our adversary, and he walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he can devour. So if you're not vigilant and sound-minded, he very likely can devour you. This is it right here. This is a foundational message every believer should be aware of while living in this world. And I've put this in a PDF and sent this out to everyone subscribed to my email list. Now let me ask the many of you, in all your many times that gone to church, how many of your pastors have actually taught this to you and taught you how to protect yourself from the enemy? Please tell me, how can you protect yourself from an enemy that you know nothing about? Like I spoke about with the example of knowing a liar. I don't listen to anything a liar says out of his mouth. So if that is the case, and Satan is the God of this world, using his resources to spread his lies, does it make sense for me to listen to what the world has to say about things? The mainstream news, all your mainstream channels, your cable channels, the most followed influencers, the ones hugged up with celebrities, all these people are people of the world. When I say the world, that's what I'm referring to. Satan is their God. He is who they serve. He is the God of this world. He deceives the whole world. So if he deceives the whole world, his lies, they can't be a secret and something not most people have been affected by. Does that make sense? He cannot deceive the whole world in secret. He deceives the whole world through the mainstream. So, if it is mainstream, I guarantee you that the whole thing is probably a lie, or there is a major lie mixed in that leads people away from Yah and directly to Satan. You see, the reason why this is not a foundational message in Christianity is because of what Christianity is. Christianity is mainstream. Our Messiah said, the world will hate him, but yet Christianity is the largest religion in the world. There's a major contradiction there. You have to understand why. You need to understand that the doctrines of Christianity are only known by the world because it is taught by Satan's ministers who transform themselves into ministers of Christ. And this is why the majority does not have a clear understanding of their enemy. Because why would Satan be teaching the world about himself and telling people how they can defend themselves against him? The clear answer is he wouldn't, and he doesn't. Which is exactly why this type of understanding is not understood by the majority of Christians, and they can always fall for the tricks that Satan promotes. Satan, who deceives the whole world, has created a world that is surrounded by lies, and you can know the difference between believers based on who lives in those and who does not. I've heard people talking about me, and one of the first things they like to mention is that he's a conspiracy theorist. Of course I'm a conspiracy theorist. Satan deceives the whole world. I'm always looking to see where he's deceiving people. The question is, why aren't you a conspiracy theorist? It's because we follow two different things. Now let me say this. Not everyone comes out of the lies the same way at the same time. So it's not like because you don't recognize that there's a world conspiracy against the masses, this does not mean that you don't know Yah. Don't ever look at it this way. What I'm actually saying is there is a difference between those who know this world is built on lies and they steadily come out of them, and those who don't even recognize that they're being lied to at all. Let me get the foundation of this, and then I will try to bring more clarity. I speak on this in multiple videos. It's the strong delusion. It says, the coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth that they might be saved. And for this reason, Elohim will send them strong delusion, that they should believe the lie, that they all may be condemned who do not believe the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. The 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 9 through 12. You see, there is a lawless one coming. We call him the Antichrist in our modern day. Everything in this world today is all about leading up to him. Trump assuming leadership over the world, the great divide within politics all over the world, the lack of young leaders and the abundance of old men and old ideas, COVID, the solution, the United Nations assemblies, global citizens festivals, wars, economic collapses, climate change, cryptocurrencies, etc., etc. All of these things happening in the world, too many to list and mention, all of these things are put in place in order to bring about the coming of the lawless one. It is a massive world system built on lies and false foundations that were created in order to drive the world that is stuck in the strong delusion, driving them into condemnation. All these things are leading to the lawless one, as the scripture says. They're all according to the working of Satan, with all of his power, signs, and lying wonders. Remember all the things that we spoke about understanding of Satan earlier. Remember, he deceives the whole world. Why is he deceiving the whole world? In order to lead us to the coming of the lawless one, his false Messiah. And those who follow the strong delusion are those who are perishing because they did not receive the love of the truth that they might be saved. Those that follow and believe in the lie will be condemned because they did not love the truth and Yah's righteousness. And so sadly, there are many that we all know that will perish and be condemned. And there are many different characteristics of them, but one thing that should be known and seen is that they are not conspiracy theorists. I bet you're like, wait, what? Yeah, those who will be condemned are not known as conspiracy theorists by others because they believe all the lies, like I just showed earlier about what people say about me. People reject the truth. Think about it. Satan deceives the whole world. He does not stand in truth, and when he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources because he is the father of lies. Satan is the god of this world, blinding the minds of those who are perishing. He transforms himself into an angel of light, and he has ministers who preach and teach about Messiah, but they're actually ministers for his deceptions. He is our adversary, and he walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he can devour. So if you're not vigilant and sound-minded, he very likely can devour you. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan with all of Satan's lying wonders, powers, and signs. He has built a world based on lies. Everything is a lie in order for people to follow Satan and receive the lawless one that is coming. As I mentioned earlier, the one thing that many people love to say about me and this ministry is that I'm a conspiracy theorist. But that doesn't speak against me. It speaks against them, because every believer should be trying to see exactly where Satan has placed his deceptions and influence in this world. To Christians, being a conspiracy theorist is bad when it should be the expectation. So if you're not questioning everything and you're believing everything you're hearing, you cannot be a part of Yah and his kingdom. Everything in the mainstream is a lie in order to steer us to the lawless one. So if you hear what the mainstream is selling you and telling you, and you just outright accept it and go along, you are a part of the group that is a part of the strong delusion. And I know that that may be hard to hear, but if we are in the last days, preparing for the beast and his persecution, do you think that the devil is just going to start lying to us now? No, he deceives the whole world. And a majority of what the mainstream knows today is a lie that has been told in order to lead us to the beast. Everything is a lie. And if you don't recognize that, it's because you yourself are held by the strong delusion because you do not love Yah's truth. Now listen, this is important to say. This is not to say that every conspiracy theorist is a believer in Yah's kingdom. Absolutely not. And that also does not mean that every conspiracy theory is true. Absolutely not. But let me tell you that if you live in a world and you don't even recognize that people are lying to you, then you are not going to be a part of Yah's kingdom, because the mainstream agenda in this world is all about steering people to the lawless one. So let's examine this in reality. Look at Christianity.
Those high numbers, combined with the spread of the Delta variant, are now prompting some faith centers to take extra safety steps.
We are not apologizing for being the most conservative and the most cautious during this period.
Piney Grove Baptist Church in DeKalb County says it's requiring worshipers to sign a waiver, get their temperature checked, and show proof of vaccination before attending in-person services.
We said we were going to follow the science, not our emotions. Everybody wanted to come to church, but we were going to follow the science, and we did just that.
The church has about 3,000 active members, 5,000 total, and staff say they began requiring proof of vaccination several weeks ago.
Now, I use this because it's a very clear example. Knowing that this man is more than likely one of Satan's ministers who transformed himself into the apostle for Messiah, being that he probably shows that he's an alpha and he's more likely a Mason. But I'm not talking about him specifically. But I'm talking about all the people who go to his church and follow him, and those that go to other churches like his, and that follow ministers like him. And this is in the abundance. Pretty much all in mainstream Christianity is like this.
Attention, all Christian
The Bible says
conspiracy
this, truthful
theorists.
words stand the test of time, but lies are what? Soon exposed. Listen to me, all you conspiracy theorists. People are not that smart. Oh my gosh, the government is lying to us. Really? The same people who can't make roads? Listen to me. Get out of your room and off the internet. People are not that great at covering up lies. We're not even that good at telling the truth. You give people and government way too much credit. The truth comes out.
You see, this is what is mainstream. Now understand that this is exactly why Satan and his influence are running wild in this world, because the churches don't even know that they need to be on guard to something. The man said humans aren't that gullible and that people can't keep secrets, yet this is exactly what the world is built on and is exactly what we are warned of. So guess what? These people are liars and they are ministers of darkness, and the majority of the Christian church are influenced by them. All these Christians sit in church and go hear sermons that teach them to trust this world and how to obtain this world. They actually praise people who get a chance to sit at mainstream tables like Joe Rogan's, as if this is something that we should be proud of. The bar set for Christians is completely opposite what biblical standards should be based on. People listen to be deceived. They hear things about Jesus that makes them clap, but then they also hear about being delivered from their haters, receiving blessings to get them out of their bad job or lack of finances or finding a partner. Whatever these people are talking about today. This is Christianity. Do you think that the majority of these people know that they're being lied to about everything? Not even close. I want to see your mainstream leaders attack the whole establishment, not just the ones against them politically, like how Jamal Bryant does with Trump, or how he's trying to get a boycott on Target. Not things like that. Why don't they attack the whole establishment? The strong delusion is real, and we all don't wake up out of it the same way at the same time, no. But the thing is that we know something is wrong, and we continue to seek out the Most High so that He can expose it to us and bring us more aligned into His world and in His truth. But the majority don't even recognize that they're being lied to. So what do? They follow exactly what they're told, and they believe it. It's exactly how the Christian church could allow themselves to get shut down from worshiping Yah and believe they needed to be masked up and injected. They didn't even consider the possibility that they were being lied to and that the things that are happening were a part of the strong delusion. No, they were just following the thoughts that Satan is directing the mainstream to believe in. When a true believer who actually stands in the power Messiah gives us, walks in power and the authority that Yahushua said we have, you cannot stop him and shut him down. And so the majority of mainstream Christian church is under the strong delusion, and they are being prepared to accept the Antichrist or die in their rejection of the truth. Satan doesn't care either way. His whole goal is to bring people to the same fate that he's going to receive. And so he tries to direct the masses to follow his agenda while that walks them directly into the strong delusion. So let's be clear about it. Everything that you're born into believing is probably a lie. You can always tell by looking at the things you are allowed to say and the things that you are not allowed to say and believe in. Everything is a lie, and the more of these things that you do not recognize, the more you are in the strong delusion. Listen to this. Know this. The world is completely run by Satan. The people in the mainstream, from your elected officials, celebrities, business leaders, and everyone else in between that are mainstream, are sellouts who have sold their soul for fame and fortune that they have received. Most people are cheering on and being influenced by the scum of modern day history. Money is not real. The value of it is created by those with power. People have been tricked into devoting their life to something that does not matter and will change whenever those with power want it to. Democracy is not real. It is an illusion created by people with power to control the people without it. There are no real political parties. They just have created sides to give the illusion of choice. Presidents and politicians are not elected, they are selected. Elections are only used to understand if the public is believing the lies. The world is controlled by a small handful of people. All wars and economic collapses are planned and orchestrated long before they happen in order to create order out of chaos. They are just events that are leading the world to the worship of the beast. The most influential religion in this world is Freemasonry. The world is divided and controlled through a pyramid hierarchy. Satan is at the top. The masses controlled by the mainstream are at the bottom. The real war being waged against us all is spiritual and mental. The news is nothing but psychological misinformation to steer the general public. Our entertainment, from music, television, and movies, are all major tools of mind control used to control the masses. Education is not about empowering minds, it's about indoctrinating them. Medicine is not about healing people, but controlling people. Religion of the world is not real. It all leads to Satan. Satan has played a bigger role in Christianity than the majority are aware of. The Bible is not an American or European book. It was only hijacked by Europeans and Americans. The God of the Bible has a name, and it was written over 6,000 times in the Old Testament. His name is Yahuwah, written in the tetragrammaton form like this, or with the actual Hebrew characters. The reason his name is not in our mainstream Bibles is because they have followed the ineffable name doctrine that says his name is too holy to utter. The Messiah's name is not Jesus. The people the mainstream world believes are Jews are not actually the people the Bible is speaking of. The restoration of Israel Bible prophecy was not fulfilled when the nation of Israel was created in 1948. The world is not truly divided by skin color or race. The world is divided by tribes, nations, and tongues. All people are descendants of tribes on earth that come from Ham, Japheth, and Shem. Satan created a race to disguise the hatred he has for Yah's chosen people. He used skin color to disguise his agendas of hatred and oppression. Skin color and nationalities are the worst way to identify people because when different tribes mix with others, it produces different skin complexions. For instance, when Japheth mixed with Ham, it creates a tannish complexion with blended features. The skin color you see in the Middle East is not what is in ancient history. It is based from the mixing of Japheth, Greek and Romans, with Hamites, Egyptians and Ethiopians, when Greece and Rome conquered the known world. The transatlantic slave trade was not done randomly, picking people with black skin at random. The slavers knew exactly who they were taking. The Negroes are the actual Hebrews of Israel. They were taken from the land the European slavers labeled Negroland, which was the Songhai Empire, which descends from the Zah dynasty, the Hebrew Empire of Kings. The enslavement, oppression, prejudice, and overall abuse of the Negro was not about their skin color, but about their spiritual identity and the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28 placed on them because of the disobedience and rebellions of their ancestors. White supremacy is a satanic doctrine that most people are unaware that they are influenced by. The period of the Renaissance is the time when the world began to come together to formulate their massive lie. All lies and falsehoods began to be covered up during this period in history. Aliens are not real, they are actually demons. The pre-tribulation rapture is the doctrine created by Satan to trick the mainstream church in believing that they need to be ones plucked off the earth instead of inheriting it. Now listen, there's a lot more, so I'm sure that people might have more to write in the comments. If I did not say something, please don't try to hold it against me. This list was not meant to be comprehensive. It's just giving the example of how lost this world truly is. We are bombarded by lies that the majority do not know. This is the reality of the world that you live in. And maybe you don't understand or agree yet with all that I've said, and that's fine. When I first was waking up, there are many things I didn't agree with or refused to believe at first. There is no judgment on your level of awareness. But listen, if you call yourself a believer and you live in a world where all of this is just a conspiracy theory and you believe you do not need to know this to be saved, you are in fact a part of the strong delusion heading for condemnation. It's not that you need to know this to be saved, but you know this so you're guarded from the enemy and his lies. The mainstream church is lying to the masses. It is overrun by false apostles and false ministers of unrighteousness that desire to spread false religion that keeps people deceived and not attached to Yah's kingdom. This world is no joke. The mainstream is built around lies that have been put in place to steer the majority of the world to accept the Antichrist and make people declare that they are tied more to Satan than to Yahuwah. And the thing is that this is entirely our choice, because many of us are just too lazy with our faith and have not diligently sought after our Father in heaven more than we sought after riches of this world or to be accepted by man and their ways. Understand this. Those in Christianity, they are not in church analyzing all the lies told by Satan and making sure that they're not falling for them. They're just too busy justifying why they're attached to them and why these lies don't matter. These are all a part of the strong delusion, whether they want you to recognize it or not. Remember, it's prophesied. For this reason, Elohim will send them strong delusion that they should believe the lie, that they all may be condemned who do not believe the truth but have pleasure in unrighteousness. This is the reality of what we're facing for the coming of the lawless one. Remember this, Satan deceives the whole world. He does not stand in truth, and when he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources because he is the father of lies. Satan is the god of this world, blinding the minds of those who are perishing. He transforms himself into an angel of light, and he has ministers who preach and teach about Messiah, but they're actually ministers for his deceptions. He is our adversary, and he walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he can devour. So if you're not vigilant and sound-minded, he very likely can devour you. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all of Satan's lying wonders, powers, and signs. He has built a world based on lies. Everything is a lie in order for people to follow Satan and receive the lawless one that's coming. Remember, I put this in a PDF for you to have so you can remember. What you need to know and recognize is that your only way out of this is living in the truth. Yahusha said to those Jews who believed in him, "If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." That's John chapter 8, verses 31 through 32. It is the truth that shall make you free. A part of our spiritual armor is the belt of truth. Yahusha prayed to our Father, "Sanctify them by your truth. Your word is truth. As you have sent me into the world, I have also sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also may be sanctified by the truth." John chapter 17, verses 17 through 19. Also, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in truth. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 6. So if you're a hypocrite who claims to be a follower of Yahusha, our Messiah, but you live in lies because it's easier for you to deal with, or you don't understand our Father or our enemy, that is and will be completely on you. Yes, your churches have not taught you about our enemy and about the strong delusion. But if you searched out our Father yourself and did not put your faith in the hand of others, you would give his spirit room to work in you and move. So it's time to come out of the lies. It's time to come out of Christianity. It's time to come out of religion and focus on relationship that's built on faith and obedience. I want you to remember, Yahuwah is near to all who call upon him, to all who call upon him in truth. He will fulfill the desire of those who fear him. He also will hear their cry and save them. Yahuwah preserves all who love him, but all the wicked he will destroy. My mouth shall speak the praise of Yahuwah, and all flesh shall bless his holy name forever and ever. That's Psalm chapter 145, verses 18 through 21. Call upon his name in truth and reject the lies. The more you start yearning and hungering for his truth, the more he will remove the scales off your eyes, and you will begin to see the strong delusion that you have lived in since you were born. This is real, and it is heading to an agenda that we are seeing coming together right now. You have been told and warned, and whatever you decide to do with all this info, it's on you. For you that desire to live for the Most High, you must live in the truth. So reject the lies and come to our Father in spirit and in truth, and serve him the way he desires and how he has declared according to his word. You don't have much more time to get this right. So please, burn your idols and begin to love the truth before your time is up. Be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks for watching. If this has blessed you, please make sure to like it and share this video with others. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Yah willing, I upload these every Friday. Please make sure to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on my website, truthunedited.com. I again want to thank everyone who is sowing into this ministry. I feel very humbled by this assignment Yahweh has given me, and your support truly blesses me. I thank you for your assistance in carrying this out and serving him. I'm truly grateful for you. You know who you are. Thank you again for your support and allowing Yahweh to work through you. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again for watching, everyone. I love you all.